NoCB, a grand strategy podcast. Is that what you have to say? I think so.
Yeah, no.
I'm your host, Father Loris, if you can believe that. And with me today
No, we
is...
can't.
no.
No.
You don't want to believe it, but it's true.
We're
sadly.
planning a revolution.
The Jacobins are coming.
With me, not hosting, is Rose.
Hello.
And also not hosting, Lambert.
Hello there. I do like how the person hosting and streaming is the only person that does not stream.
Yeah.
And believe me, it will show. 100%.
Do I have a ventilator on me? I have a fan. Is it audible on the stream? Really?
I can't hear it on Discord.
I can't hear it on Discord.
Yeah, the Snowlet has like the best hearing. You can see my hair moving. Okay, yeah. No, that's fair.
Okay,
That's fair.
Okay.
No, that's fair.
I mean, Lambert put on a shirt just for the stream.
I did. I could have done this naked. I mean, I honestly would have felt comfortabler.
Oh my goodness.
Well, except you would have been sticking to your chair.
I'd have brought in the paddling pool. We'd have been able to put it on the fucking the hot tubs and swimming pools section of Twitch. Get all the bloody views.
Big views.
Not for me, though. No, this is this. No, let's move on.
Believe it or not, it's actually hotter here in New York than it is over in Finland. But I guess it's a little more normal here in New York.
Yeah, Finland's not.
Yeah, you've got
known
the
for its
infrastructure
heat.
for it.
Well, our house didn't. Our house had no AC, and trust me, it gets
It's more
upstairs,
than just AC.
And I know, but upstairs, it will get hotter than it is outside when the sun is out.
It's all to do as well with how is your house designed to retain heat, or is it designed to piss away the heat?
Yeah, it's like why
It's designed to do neither.
It's like why the Australians always like cry when it's like 2 degrees, and it's like, oh no, I'm freezing to death. It's like, but then again, their houses are made out of cardboard, so
yeah. It's also just being used to it. Like
That's true.
humans are, we're pretty good at like adapting. It's kind of like our signature trait. So I mean, I've adapted to not being in this kind of disgusting heat. But maybe if I lived in this disgusting heat for another like 30 years, or was born in this disgusting heat, then maybe I'd be more adapted to this disgusting heat. But I'm not. And it's just disgusting.
The only reason I survived in Florida was because of central AC everywhere. Florida is virtually uninhabitable without central AC.
Yeah.
And there's days you just don't go outside unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah, imagine.
All of them. All of the days.
Yeah. If I lived in Florida, I would simply not go outside.
Yeah.
I had a black car in Florida because that's what was good used.
Oh my goodness.
That was the usable price. It was miserable. Luckily, it didn't have leather seats. If it had leather seats, I would have had so many burns. Oh.
Well, before we bought our house, we were renting. And our car isn't black. It's some kind of beigey, silvery color. But when you're, we obviously couldn't put it in a garage because we didn't have one because we were only renting. So anytime you go driving, the seatbelt in the summer, the seatbelt would burn you. If you happen to touch the belt buckle, you've lost a finger. It's nasty. I don't like heat. Heat sucks.
It does.
It's just not nice.
Do you know what they actually sell that some people use out in like Arizona and stuff? There's these
Ice.
these cooling pads that they put in like the kid's car seat when they get out of the car, and it keeps the car seat cool, and so the back buckles and stuff don't burn the kids.
You know what else sucks?
Heat.
These Victoria memes. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Now that's a segue.
Don't make fun of the memes. It's not a laughing matter. Look, in fairness, there's one good one.
Which one's
I personally like the one about the meme competition with the Strunk guy.
Yeah, no, that one's okay as well. Lenin's pretty good, and that video is pretty good as well.
Which one? This one?
No, go up. The Victoria 3 announcement party with Abe Lincoln.
Okay.
That's a video.
Thank you for the resub, Dogberry. The support of the podcast goes a long way.
Okay, yeah, that one is a good one. That one is a good one, actually. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was a meme competition, I guess. Check it out.
And they all got T-shirts.
Yeah, which I'm kind of jealous about. I wish I knew about this prior.
Yeah, I put some effort in.
Yeah. And then got a T-shirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what? Yeah, you could have drawn your own meme, like put some actual.
I used to win all the meme competitions back when I used to run them on Reddit.
I should have posted one of your Victoria 2 cartoons. It's like this is my Victoria 3
just
meme.
edit it.
No,
Yeah.
don't. Lazier than that. Just steal credit.
Just have exactly the same thing. Just put like Poland balls over the top of it or something.
Or do the exact same thing, but if it said Vicky 2 at any point in it, just cross out the 2 and like
3.
sloppily draw in a 3.
Yeah. No, I mean,
we have Benjamin Magnus in chat saying not many people applied.
Yeah, I
didn't
know
have
about
nearly
it.
as many applicants.
what I will say is I am not a meme person. I don't really do memes very much. I'm going to be 30 this year. I'm getting old.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't understand what these kids are doing with their memes. It's not for me.
I'm always been a
I'm older than you, and I know at least not to call them maymays. Wow,
I know that's the joke. Sure. No, I mean, it's sure people found these funny. I like the one with the dude dancing to the Vicky 2 music. That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
There was one that I saw from Spud Gun, which was the initial announcement for Vicky 3, where the logo is like coming together with all the mechanical sounds.
Yeah.
And then it just says game is out of sync. That's a massive problem for Vicky 2. So I thought, as someone who just started playing some Vicky 2 multiplayer, that one spoke to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
I've heard Vicky 2 multiplayer is teeth-wrenchingly bad.
It's an experience.
In terms of connections.
Yeah, it's an experience.
It'd be nice if there was Steamworks in it, or Hot Join. Man, playing old like Crusader Kings 2 is the same. It's like, oh man, you really miss Hot Join when you play those old Paradox games.
Hey, at least it has a lobby, Stellaris.
Yes, yeah, true.
True, it does beating Stellaris.
Yeah.
And doesn't Imperator have no lobby?
Oh no, they removed the lobby for like a moment and they brought it back.
Brought it back, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just Stellaris that doesn't have a lobby. CK3, I think, strikes a nice balance. Although I don't like a lot of the hot joining things. There's a lot of problems with CK3's multiplayer, actually. There's no chat function.
Yeah.
Yes, unless you want to kill babies overly with Agamede's mod.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I don't even think the babies were necessary. This is just a Gamma Day fantasy, you know?
Well,
it is very meta.
I've heard a few times the baby doesn't die, and so you'll run into a character titled, "Hey, can you help me?" Just somewhere in the world.
Oh god.
Oh man. I have to get that one.
I think there should be another meme contest done when we've got a bit more information about Vicky 3. Maybe on release there could be another meme competition. I think there's going to be a bit more of a bit more for it.
Do a dev clash. That's what we didn't get for CK3. We got it for Imperator, but not CK3. We didn't get a dev clash.
Yeah. Well, do you remember the CK3 multiplayer that we tried to do on release? There is a reason there was no CK3 dev clash.
Yeah.
And that was because multiplayer was straight up non-functioning.
Not working, yeah.
Yeah.
That was... that wasn't an experience, as it turns out.
It was nice to catch up with everyone in the lobby, though. It was nice to catch up with people.
3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's a nice long conversation with people I haven't talked to in a while.
Yeah. I hope we can maybe get that off the ground again.
Yeah.
I know Midgeman is like the busiest person I know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Poor guy's like sweating spinal fluid. He's like got so much going on.
I mean, it's by his own choice, so zero sympathy.
You can have sympathy, just not. What's
Look,
the word?
He is my D&D DM. I'm contractually obligated to not have sympathy when things go wrong. Nah, but we love Midgeman here. He's great.
He's a lovely bloke.
Have we had him on once or twice? I feel like it's twice.
I don't know.
Maybe I'd have to check YouTube because I usually put who's featured in there.
I have him on again though.
In the title.
Just get him on
Which
again.
I am behind.
Definitely.
On YouTube.
So we had him on before he was the before CA. I haven't had him on since.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we do have an actual Vicky 3 dev diary, which we're kind of getting sparse on the dev diaries right now because of the summer holidays.
Yeah.
Well, this is the last one until the 22nd of July.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a really cool picture of a suffragettes. Huge fan of the suffragettes. Like
you can open that out as well if you right click on it. It's bigger than is made out there.
Like be an issue for cropping, a bit janky cropping. A new tab. Yeah, issue with a janky cropping.
I love the art style.
Yeah, same.
The art style is really, really nice.
Yeah.
I just wish I knew what the name for that art style is so that I could like search for more of it, you know?
Painterly.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'll look for that then.
Well, I think that's what the modern cool kids
phrases
call it now, I guess, like painterly
style.
Yeah, it's cool. I think people just don't know enough about the suffragettes in general. Go read about them. Incredibly
tubes, feeding tubes.
Yes. Oh my goodness, the torture they went through, right? Like.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
people don't realize like how bad force feeding is too. Like, so these women would be force fed twice a day, every day, because they were doing a hunger strike, and it means putting it was a rubber tube down your esophagus into your stomach, and then pouring like milk and honey and all sorts of sometimes with rum and all sorts down directly into your gut, and it would rip up their esophagus. And sometimes these very incredibly brave women would would like really really resist it, and then they would put up the nose and then down. Really cause a lot of damage. Yeah,
that's awful.
Yeah, I mean, but they stuck at it. So, and all those sacrifices. I only know about British suffragettes. Tragically, I don't know much about American suffragettes.
It was a lot of the same stuff, just a little different time. But yeah, basically a lot of the same stuff. Though in the U.S., they kept campaigning through World War I. Which got a lot of men, especially military men, angry because they said you should be supporting us in the fight, not trying to get a vote to, decide if we go for a fight or not.
Yeah.
Which caused more violence against the women.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of violence against the women in the UK too. Like armed mobs of men would break up protests, but police violence too. Like there was a march on Parliament that they did, and the amount of police brutality is just never seen in British history since like Tolpuddle against these women. There was
one thing we have to say about the British suffragettes, though. They had a shit flag.
I quite like their flag.
The flag was awful. It's the flag that the Republican Party in EU4 uses.
Yeah.
If you turn like the revolutionary Great Britain, their colours are based on it. It's nasty.
I love the flag.
Support your fight, but not with that flag.
I love the flag personally, but I like it in the context of suffragettes, not as revolutionary, because it doesn't make any sense as revolutionary.
No, it doesn't. Yeah,
it's Great Britain.
But anyway, suffragettes. are they going to be an interest?
Oh
group?
yeah, I imagine so. I mean, I could talk about them for hours, but
they're not, right? But
Hmm.
it is somewhat interesting. There is going to be interest groups, but also like single issue interest groups that are separate.
Yeah.
So, for example, something like a separatist would be a single issue. Calling it an interest group is probably wrong, but it's kind of what they are. Because every
An
pop,
interest club.
yeah, sure,
Yeah.
why not? Every pop is either apolitical, maybe because they don't have the literacy or the wealth, or they have not been enfranchised. Every pop either is apolitical in that way, or they support an interest group. I don't know if you can support an interest group and have a single issue like separatism or suffragettism. I'm not sure if you can have both. But yeah, I imagine suffragettes will be a single issue interest group to enfranchise women.
Yeah.
So that'll be,
Well, I imagine like because you have basically people who are not politically active, which would be all the women, and in certain countries minorities, and in people who are young, working class people, of course, at the start of the game.
In some countries, I mean, if you weren't a landowner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, in one of the examples they gave for the franchise is the intelligentsia will be they consider the amount if you are literate then you can vote. They believe that is just as good as universal franchise where everyone can vote.
Right.
So, another thing could be if you are literate, then you can vote. Or if you have enough wealth, then you can vote. Or if you're a landowner, then you can vote. Like there's a lot of different steps, a lot of different breakdowns that you can make of people and whether you give them a vote or not.
Yeah. Well, literacy test is famous in America, right, Rose? Because wasn't it used?
Yeah, so that was a thing that was used especially after the Civil War, was you had to either pay poll tax or literacy tests or whatever they could think of at the different polling stations to try and keep non-white people from voting.
Yeah. Is it? I forgot what they're called now.
Yep, as Dogberry is saying in chat, they are infamous in the U.S.
What's it called? Jim Crow, that's it.
Oh, yeah, the Jim Crow laws. And as Valorgain is pointing out, yeah, you could get out of it. It was the grandfather clause. If your grandfather could vote, then you didn't have to take a literacy test. So if you were an illiterate white person, then yeah, your grandfather probably voted. But if you were an immigrant and your grandfather didn't vote because, he lived over in Ireland, you couldn't vote either. So yeah,
pretty fucked.
Gotta love a bit of the
I already touched on being a freed slave, because if your grandfather had been a slave, he definitely wasn't voting.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, all these disenfranchised groups would be obviously we're not part of a political system, but we're still part of interest groups, right? And rather than taking a political position, well, they do take a political position, but rather than voting, they'll radicalize, which is historically correct, right? You look at, I'm going to be really UK centric, so Rose, please jump in.
I will do my best,
because I too much about the UK and not much about anywhere else. And so you have the Chartists, who were radicalized members of the working class, who did campaigns of protest and armed insurrection. In fact, near where I live, there's a place called the Chartist Cave where they hid loads of guns and marched on Newport in an armed uprising to fight for votes. Yeah.
I guess the closest we'd get to that here were we had the people striking against the big corporations, because there were mining towns in Virginia where everything in the town was owned by the corporation. If you wanted to buy groceries, you had to buy them from the corporation with the money that they paid you for working in the mine.
That sounds like a futurist dystopia.
Except
that sounds like the future that Elon Musk wants.
Dystopia. There's actually a song titled "I Sold My Soul to the Company Store" because they let you buy on credit. So you'd buy your groceries on credit with the paycheck that they were going to pay you. And they'd have the prices just high enough so no one could ever save money because you were also renting your house from them.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of
that just leads into a bad episode of Bad Mirror. I think, or probably a very good episode of Bad Mirror.
But then people would strike, and then they'd bring in strike breakers. And I think several times the government actually got involved, sending in troops to try and break up the strikes because they got sort of, their buddies owned the company.
Yeah.
Politicians' buddies.
Yep. We had a few cases like that here too, of troops being sent in. Like for Tonna Pandu.
Dogberry knows the song I'm talking about.
So I think I've heard that song. I think I've heard it in Guys Rock. And then also, suffragettes are the same. I mean, people don't really realise. I talk about the suffragettes again. I'm sorry. Should know more about the suffragettes, everyone. They did lots of violent protests too. They blew up houses, burnt buildings. So they radicalised pretty strongly, and that's what really pushed. And obviously martyred themselves too, quite a lot. So they... So people who are not part of a political franchise, they will radicalise and still be members of interest groups. We should get back on topic of the actual interest groups.
We're
so we have
off into historical territory.
Interesting though. Yeah, we have the example of the landowners here, who's an interest group in, I think this is probably in Prussia. And you've got the options. You can either suppress them or promote them, a bit like we have in Stellaris for the factions there, which I imagine would increase or decrease their clout. You can also have them join or remove them from your government. As we saw in, I think, before the Dev Diaries even came out, we had the screenshot showing your politics, and you could add certain interest groups to your political makeup, to your government. And I imagine that is what that is all about, removing them or adding them to that.
Yeah,
I've just put a screenshot in chat for if you like. So we have that. We also have, if I go back to the Dev Diary now, the amount of clout that they have, which again I said to you about the suppression and promotion there, how much they approve of the government, and if this number 4 there, if that reaches a certain threshold, then it may unlock their traits. So that middle trait there, we have that as a example further down. That is noblesse oblige, and if you get the approval to be at 10, that means that this political party will, their aristocrats will contribute more to your investment pool.
Yeah.
So there's 3 different traits, and you can sort of glean from that bottom image that these different traits are unlocked at different levels of approval. Yeah. So maybe that there's some really good bonus you get that is harder to get to. You also have a leader for every interest group. This one being Friedrich August von Gies. Their traits are somewhat randomly generated, but also based on the situation that the interest group finds itself in, whether it's very wealthy or whether it's whether it's laws are being passed or whatever. And those can be different between the leader and the interest group itself. So you may have an interest group that is very pro-communist, maybe, but the leader may not be. They're not intrinsically tied to one another. And maybe that's what I'm going to have a vanity character as, if that ever happens. When I won that competition, I want a character.
Yeah, do that as an extra reward for a meme competition. I'll participate in it.
Yeah. You can also see how many pops are part of the interest group and the breakdown of that as well. So it seems like you're getting enough information on this. I don't know what else you would really add to it. I'm sure people could think of it.
Yeah, I really like it from a gameplay point of view because do they say how many you can have as an interest group? So is it free?
In your government, I can't recall.
Really like
an amount
sucking up to like a very specialized interest group is really interesting for your country, right? So say, for example, if you have, I'm trying to think, an obvious example.
Well, in the example that I gave you earlier, we've got the Anglican Church and the rural folk as part of the government, and then every other interest group is part of the opposition. So intelligentsia, the petty bourgeoisie, industrialists, landed gentry, and the armed forces.
We have Valagate in chat saying it depends on the type of government.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can see yourself playing in a certain way where you basically want to cater to one specific interest group, right? And you really, say if you're playing Imperial Russia, you want to be like really catering to the aristocracy and bazaars and stuff, and maybe caring less about serfs and really specializing in getting all those big bonuses from having.
Yeah, I'm sure a meta will quickly be found on what different laws you want to pass, and then aiming to find the interest groups that want those laws, promoting them, get them in the government. I'm sure a meta will be found, but I also think it's not going to be this is the best in every single situation. I think there's probably going to be a bit of granularity to it.
Yeah. And also,
like, I can imagine myself really focusing on like intelligentsia, so I can get research faster. Maybe the industrialists, because I want to get a bunch of factories which would give me a bunch of money, and then the armed forces, so that you can actually have a decent army that you're not going to get crapped on. There's pros and cons. Well, I don't know if there's cons, but there's pros to going for every different type, and maybe the intelligentsia and the armed forces don't like each other.
Yeah,
who knows?
I imagine like the con is a lot of these interest groups are diametrically opposed, right? So
intelligentsia and the Anglican Church, they would probably be opposed.
Yeah, workers and capitalists probably good opposition. Classic.
Industrialists versus rural folk.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, I could see myself role playing. That's different nations.
Oh yeah.
Don't know about you two, but like, you got any nation in mind where you might be thinking of specializing in an interest group?
I mean, the example that comes to mind is Prussia and the armed forces, because Prussia is not a state with a military; it's a military with a state. that famous or infamous quote.
That's right. What about Euros? You got any plans?
I don't know. I might try playing like Korea and try. I'm not sure what the interest groups they'd have over in Korea, but I'm sure one of them would be sort of an industrial group.
Yeah.
Korea's interest group will be trying not to die to the Japanese like they do in Vicky 2 every game.
Well,
that's more of a goal than an interest group, but sure.
I'd be interested in not dying to the Japanese. I mean, I don't know. I'd join that interest group.
Like the literati in Korea were pretty big around now, right? Poetry and stuff.
True.
Yes.
I'll have to see.
Yeah.
I wonder
Japan
if the
really
single issue. Yeah. Japan's is interesting in Vicky 2 being I don't know if it's a loaded term nowadays, but they're called an unciv in Vicky 2. They're uncivilized apparently, but they've got high literacy.
Yeah.
So they can become very, very powerful once they westernize.
Which is
it's probably a good idea that a lot of these terms are being changed.
I mean, weirdly, I think with Japan, that is the only time that term could really actually work, because they actively
they wore Western suits and clothing as well.
Yeah,
they wore bowler hats to be more Western. So I think Westernization, the term, is used because of Japan.
Yeah.
And the way that they did Westernize. It's just like when you're talking about post-Soviet countries and Finland, or not post-Soviet countries, but the Finlandization, being, I'm not a part of the Soviet Union, but we're friendly towards it so that we don't die, kind of thing.
Yeah.
there were more countries that did it, but Finland was the titular one that did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the funniest thing
They were
about
getting told Russia, Turkey, a lot of countries did it.
Yeah, I mean Russia did it obviously before the time period, right?
Yeah.
Turkey is a good one, but again, probably I don't know. It's quite a weird one, that one. Turkey.
Oh, we also have Flurry Worry in chat. Hello there.
Hey Flurry, how's it going, man?
Mm-hmm.
We need to grab you on my podcast at some point, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the funniest one is like the Japanese was saying like they used to shave their heads because it was like a sign of being modern, rather than having long hair.
Well, in China they do that too with the ponytails.
Yeah. Well, that's another interest. That's a different story, but it's another interesting thing about the rebellions that happened with that. They had the saying where like if you slap a shaved head, it rings progress. Like apparently, which is the funniest like saying.
In this disgusting heat wave that I'm currently enduring, shaved head does sound like progress.
You just get loads of people slapping it,
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: if you're gonna survive heat with longer hair, you've got to put it up in a ponytail or a bun.
Yeah. Join the club.
Baldness.
I'm sitting in beautiful air conditioner right now because it's 90-something flipping degrees outside.
Yeah, I'm sat here.
Which is
has already been pointed out.
To 34.
Yes. But anyway, back to Death. Let's stop talking about heat waves again. Look, man, it's on my mind. I can't help it.
It's so warm, isn't it? I'm sat here in my cardigan.
You bastard. I was thinking, we haven't learned anything about the single issue interests yet, but it would be kind of cool if they also had, the character, the leader, because then, like the one that keeps springing to mind is for the Taiping Heavenly Rebellion, Heavenly Kingdom.
Yes.
Imagine having Jesus' brother,
man,
as the leader in a that'd just be so good.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
I really hope there will be a depth area about revolutions and stuff, or rebellions and stuff. That's at a later date, I'm sure, but I hope we do get to see Jesus' brother in game.
Yeah, fantastic.
And also just generally more stuff about China. We also had a teaser. Let's see if I can drag that up.
Yes. We've got a lovely teaser about a production for a new type of building.
Yeah.
It looks like there's ships. Expenses are ships.
Yeah, those are
revenue,
ships.
Meat, and
oil.
Like an oil?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing whaling, maybe?
Yeah. So this is really exciting to me. It's basically again going back to production methods, and you will have a single building that can do multiple things depending on what you want it to focus on. So, for example, this would be maybe the fishing building or a shipyard, or I don't know exactly what the building is called, but it's obviously a shipyard of sorts. And because of the production method, we can see that they're focusing this shipyard on whaling. So they spend clipper ships, the Age of Sail with your sails and wooden hulls and all that. And in return, you get food, meat, and you also get oil. So this will be a way to get your very early game oil production going.
Oh, you're right. Oh my goodness, it's oil. I didn't realize that. I assumed it was like some sort of like, oh yeah, so you can, theoretically, you could probably, oh gosh, what's that game? Dishonored? Where you run the entire country off whale oil?
Oh, yeah. What I want to know is what that middle symbol means, because it's a snowflake with no snowflakes. So either we're not going to be allowing, left wing and right wing snowflakes to be doing our whaling because it's a hard job and you can't be crying about it, or you can't do it in winter. I think the latter is probably more realistic.
I'm 99% sure it's going to be hot and warm water ports.
Does this tease hot and warm water ports?
I'm 90% sure that's what it means.
I do recall there was a conversation on Twitter. I think Dan Lind was a part of it, where they were talking. Someone had made a suggestion where they could have ports freeze over in winter, and it was deemed a little maybe too much, I think, or not exactly hard to code, but like hard for the game to process, something like that.
But if it was something where these ports can only be usable during certain times of the year, they don't actually freeze over on the map.
Yeah.
It would be difficult to have ships dock there, I think. Yeah. But having a building basically shut down for certain months of the year is totally doable. Hell, you can do it in Imperator.
Yeah.
So, if that's the case here, then that's really cool. And that teases, I think, how much cotton do you think that you pick in January?
Yeah.
I would argue probably very little.
I'm wondering if it's just a flat modifier. Like, so it'd be like a minus 40%.
I hope it's like minus 100% during the months that it can't be done.
Yeah. But, this would be, I hope it is. I hope it's more imports and stuff, because it'll make Russia really cool. And also, it'll stop, if you're playing somewhere in Canada, you can't build a massive dock on, I don't know, Rupert Island or something.
Hudson Bay or whatever it's called up there?
Yeah.
Is it the Hudson Bay?
I think so.
Yeah.
So,
that'd be. I think that's really nice. But I just love the idea that building can do more than one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you have a shipyard that creates ships, and in the early game in Victoria 2, you would build clipper factories that would pump out your clipper ships. But as soon as, I think, 1860 or 1870 rolls along, you've unlocked ironclads, and every single piece of wooden ship that you've got is currently completely obsolete. So what is your need for clipper ships anymore? You don't need them, and you want to delete them and replace them with steamer convoy factories. With this, maybe instead of that, you could have, this is my shipyard. I've got we can still use the same infrastructure, the same building to build, steamer ships. Just, you've got some extra inputs needed, iron and coal, maybe some
engines, I think, as well.
Oh, steel, sorry. Engines. And you can change your building into another building, basically. I absolutely love that concept.
Yeah, same.
It's so good. And as I tweeted earlier, it's like your comic, where you had the capitalist building a clipper factory when you can, when you've got cars and airplanes and shit. So,
I mean, I would bring my own comic up, but I think that's so masturbatory, I probably would get banned from Twitch. So I'm not going to bring my own comic up. So.
Maybe bring it up as when you're promoting yourself at the end.
No, I refuse to promote myself. Don't look at my stuff. Bad.
And there it is in chat if anyone would like to see it. Actually, I think I just self-promoted at the same time. Either way, it's a really good.
Not even driving people to my website. Terrible. Thievery, this is. You'll see me in court.
But what kind of ships do you think Vikings would have used? Would it be clippers or steamers? Because we just got raided by Mordred Viking.
Oh man!
They would use those old dragon boats, and then they'd cover them over and make ironclads.
That is something I really want to see. Actually, is like I was saying in Vicky 2. As soon as you get ironclads, you delete your entire fleet because it's useless now. What I want to see in Victoria 3 is what historically happened with those old ships. Strap some fucking iron to the side of it. Because that a lot of ships, instead of just being put out to pasture or scuttled or sold to private investors or museums or whatever, they were literally they put iron on the side of it, they added an engine to it, and they basically had a weaker version of an ironclad. Just doing that way. I want to see that.
Yeah. I mean, that was
a lot cheaper than building a whole new ship.
It definitely would be, yeah.
Just slap some paddles on my side. That was one of the big things that they did with screw-propelled ships too. Is like they were quite easy to retrofit. Cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
There's actually, if you ever get to Baltimore, Maryland, there is in the harbor there, there's a submarine that you can tour, a nuclear submarine, I think. There's a regular one. I don't remember, but it's a submarine. But you can also tour the last built wooden sail ship for the U.S. And it's still technically, I think that one's still in commission. Like, or maybe it's not that one. Maybe there's a similar one. But one of the last ships, they still have it technically in commission, and it just gets taken around for events. But it's still technically a U.S. Navy ship.
Yeah, we've got the same. Like if you look at like the lists of the Royal Navy, right, of what ships they got, it's got like so many aircraft carriers, so many cruisers, so many things. I mean, it's like right at the bottom, it's like one ship of the line. What's that? HMS Victory in Portsmouth. It's just docked in Portsmouth as a museum ship, but it still counts as like a ship of a line for the Royal Navy.
Oh, why wouldn't you?
Exactly, it's cool, right?
Yeah, ships going obsolete is really interesting to me. Like Britain, with by making HMS Dreadnought, made every single ship in the world instantly obsolete.
Yeah.
Just by making one ship. I think the story of HMS Dreadnought is absolutely fascinating as well. It was built to be a massively long-range ship to kill battleships from miles and miles away. It got one single kill the entire time it was in service, and it got it by ramming another ship. It was not built to ram anything.
Yeah, here we go. Here's USS Constellation was the last sail-only warship designed and built by the U.S. Navy. Built in 1853, she was launched in 54, commissioned in 55.
Man, that's a really beautiful ship too.
And she was decommissioned in 1955, so she served for 100 years.
Huh.
I mean, it still floats. It still floats. Yeah.
Yes, and it's actually really cool walking all through it. It's definitely an experience.
It's like next time ParadoxCon is in Stockholm, I want to go visit the Vasa.
Oh yeah,
ship.
Yeah. Same. I'd like
that's fucking cool.
I had a few hours free last time I went, and I was like, do I go see the ABBA Museum or the Vasa Museum? It was a hard choice.
Vasa.
But Vasa,
it wasn't.
I mean, I love ABBA too. But man, we should combine those. I would totally go around Vasa with like ABBA stuff at the same time. Amazing.
Weird.
Waterloo.
Yeah, and there we go. And then here's
great.
The Constitution that is still in service. That's wood. And it was launched in 1797.
Yeah, and it's still
in active service now.
Yeah, that's cool. Where's that docked?
Where is it right now?
We're not sponsored, but
Charleston.
Famous for Charleston chews.
Charleston. Oh, it's Boston.
Famous for Boston chews.
Or throwing tea in the harbor.
For being fucking heretics.
Hey, no taxation without representation.
You had just as much representation as my hometown did.
It's true. Same year. Yeah, so we've also got the EU4 patch notes. Now, I haven't read them personally. Have either of you had a chance to read them?
I want to say it doesn't really say anything to me. I have not paid any attention really to EU4 in a long time. I haven't played it since February. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Does someone in chat have opinions on it? I think we have Mordred, and Mordred is the community ambassador. You want to give a one-sentence line. EU4 is updating.
Well, from what I've heard, all the bugs have been fixed now from the launch of Leviathan, right? Pretty sure there's no big glaring bugs. I mean, I still think gameplay-wise, there's a lot of additions in Leviathan that I'm not too chuffed about. Certainly, like the centralized.
The Dhimmi estate is no longer available for Muslim countries while in the Western Technology Group. That's pretty big, isn't that?
I mean, that doesn't really affect any countries on GameStart. That only affects if you, as a Christian, become Muslim, because I don't think there are any Muslim countries which you have to be to have the Dhimmi estate in the Western Tech Group. The Ottomans have the Ottoman, I think they have the Ottoman Tech Group, right?
Yes.
And everyone else has the Muslim Tech Group. So
yeah, the only way to get it, I guess, is to convert.
Yeah, the only way to get it is convert. So
Lambert, you need to load up a map, and you can only use zoom in and out. You cannot use keys on the map. Spastic Madman has just redeemed that for you.
That's, I mean, sure, okay. I'll start playing like Northern Lion does.
I mean, like, I don't know about you two, but I've been just basically waiting for Anambar to update before I get back into EU4.
I want to see Anbanar in Imperator.
Oh, yeah.
Snowlet, that's not going to happen. I will say WASD is the best control method if you're playing a first-person shooter, but it's certainly not the best way of moving the map around in a map game.
We should change it all to first person anyway, and
first person EU4.
Yeah. You play as you have to, like, it zooms right down on the map, and you play as the army, and you have to WSD around.
Isn't that basically a mod for mount&blade?
Is it? I don't know. Is it? Oh, that's right. There was an integration thing, wasn't there? Where you can, like,
I was totally talking shit. What? Really?
Something like that. Was it like there was some sort of integration with? Was it Crusader Kings? It was something. Somebody was making.
It would make more sense with the CK.
Yeah, where basically, like, you could load up a battle or something. And I'm not quite sure if it was for Bannerlord or if
I
it was
did see the
Warhammer.
social streamers doing that. They did every battle they played in EU4. I think they loaded it up in Total War Attila.
Yeah, and
used the 1212 AD mod for it, if I recall correctly. Or they may have used Empire Total War. I'm not sure. But that's a really interesting idea that I really want to do for Imperator, and just load up, regular Rome Total War. Yeah. But man, that is a project. That is a project.
A Kazi guy in chat is saying there was a CK3 mod which loads a Bannerlord custom battle battles.
I think
that'd be cool. I actually want to try that then.
Yeah.
You can link something in chat.
Yeah.
Oh, Minesweeper EU4. Some people are mental. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why. I don't know how you do that shit. That's
cool.
Magic.
I like that. Yeah.
What?
I do think modders are
magicians.
Yeah.
Speaking of Battlelord, though, too, I'm quite looking forward to this. A lot of mods in development for co-op campaigns at the moment. There's like a sort of MMO type thing in development called Bannerlord Online.
That'd be cool.
Less excited about that. More excited about the
Warhammer mod for it.
There is a Warhammer mod coming out for it too, actually.
Yeah, I'm in their Discord.
Oh, that's what I should have put on the docket. There was ModCon. I don't know if either of you watched that.
Yeah, there was ModCon last week, hosted by
One Proud Bavarian.
Yeah.
The man with the amazing suit.
It ran
less amazing glasses,
Sunday.
though, in my opinion. those sunglasses were.
I didn't catch the sunglasses.
Not gonna lie.
I didn't catch the sunglasses.
Yeah. Well, I'll just sum it up. He did ModCon on the 4th of July.
Did he have proper American sunglasses on?
Oh, they were something else.
Well, he didn't originally plan to do it on the 4th of July. It was supposed to be Thursday through Saturday, but he lost electricity.
No, I think it was internet for the entirety of South Germany.
Or was it
Yeah.
Or was it internet? It was one of the two. I lost electricity 2 days ago. That sucked.
I lost my will to live as soon as this heat wave started. Speaking of heat waves and summer and shit, CK3 summer update.
Oh, yeah.
Take away the hell out of
that. That was really good. Yeah, you took that opportunity and you jumped at it.
You ran with it. He jumped right into the fire.
Yeah.
It feels like it. It does.
So we have our first summer teaser here.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's giving us some of the cultural traditions to really look at, what their bonuses and negatives are. I think by the sword up here is, I mean, that monthly piety hurts minus 20%, but
Yeah.
you can do as many kingdom level holy wars as you want.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
And that monthly piety isn't quite so bad because your level of, like, the Casus Belli that you need for level of devotions goes down 1.
Yeah,
So you don't need to be as religious to go on like a Kingdom Holy War. I forgot what the level is that you need, but you don't need that.
I mean, I think this one's particularly powerful, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
That seems really, really overpowered. But
I mean, that's going to be the meta for doing a world conquest, clearly.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, also, you're going to have trouble controlling your vassals, considering every time you become more religious, you do become better at martial, but you don't become quite so good at diplomacy. You forget how to talk.
At least you don't gain piety quite as fast, and therefore you don't gain devotion levels quite as fast.
Well, what I normally do...
Also, isn't there a way you can... If you declare a war against the same faith without a Casus Belli, don't you lose a level of devotion?
I think you lose some, not piety, the other one.
Prestige, the renown.
But there's renown for religion. That gets you your level of devotions.
Piety, devotions for fame.
Yeah, it's piety and devotion, and then prestige
and
with
fame.
And renown.
Fame, that's it.
Fame, that's it. Yep.
Yeah. There's got to be a way of just tanking your levels of devotion. I don't know, go take a shit in the Pope's hat or something, that'd lower it.
We also have collective lands, which is interesting. Granting counties to commoners increases county control and makes them a peasant leader.
I have a feeling that Leanne is going to like this one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of places that did have this. I think there was like certain Zoroastrians that had sort of collective land. And imagine places in India too. Religious communities.
I mean, Kamrupi. Kamrupi sounds like a Indian culture.
Is that what it says? Yeah.
That's what it says. Yeah, that's the example that's from.
You're right, Kamrupi. Okay, yeah, that sounds Indian.
Mm-hmm.
And is that basically what you did? Isn't that basically what you did in America with every time you went further west, you gave land to the commoners? I don't think they got called peasant leaders, but I mean.
It was if you stayed on a piece of land and farmed it for like 1 year, 2 years or something, then that land was yours. You got the title.
Yeah. Because no one else owned that land before anyway.
Oh yeah, no one was there.
Yeah, no one.
I mean, no, even then, technically you are right, because the concept of owning land wasn't a thing. No one owned the land, but people were still there.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. We also have isolationists, which is from Sardinia, apparently. You lose, look at the diplomatic range, minus 25%.
I want all of the AI in the game to have that. Stop doing so much fucking border gore.
It's weird that Sardinian has this. I mean, I think these are the things with these cultures. It's like, maybe I wouldn't associate
I think this is just the example of where they got the picture, rather than the Sardinians have this. Is like,
right.
We're going to load up as a Sardinian and take a picture to show people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That looks really bad.
Yeah.
That looks really bad.
Isolationists?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of like any of that.
I think I'll do
that cultural acceptance gain is awful.
I do that as a role play when they inevitably release China. Totally. Pretty cool.
We also have mystic ancestors. You cannot disinherit your dynasty members.
Already hate it. Moving on.
So many of y'all use disinheriting dynasty members to like control things. I like never do that.
Yeah, I like my renown too much. So it's like what I normally do is imprison them and then torture them to death, because it doesn't count as kinslaying if you torture them to death. So it's fine. I didn't kill him. I just chopped off all his arms.
I just say you can't have land. This guy over here is like, I'm just in prison.
Oh yeah, prison and torture him to death. I mean, you don't lose renown, and you're not a kinslayer technically. because they died of natural causes in prison. So.
You know what?
Those natural thumbscrews. Oh,
that's right. Yeah.
I really like this because one of my favorite things to do is if you're like doing a sort of a tall family-run nation is as you take counties, you just give it out to your family.
Yeah.
So eventually, everyone who owns land is a family member. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that part of it. But you gain renown when giving land to your family. It's like, yes, now I've got spare renown to disinherit.
Man, those big renown trees.
Everyone in your family likes you better, though. So, I mean, if you're running a nation where all of your vassals are part of your family or your dynasty,
it's a Dom Toretto fucking meme. Doing it for the family. Look, it's topical. Fuck off.
We also have the stalwart defenders.
Yeah.
This is a lot of green.
It's pretty good.
I
mean,
gold from winning defensive wars seems pretty fucking rad, actually.
Yeah, it means you don't have to like full occupy.
Yeah. Garrison side's also pretty damn
prestige
good.
from winning defensive wars. If you're beset on all sides and you're going to be fighting a lot of defensive wars, this is the tradition to have.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would take that even in an offensive war because that peace acceptance is huge. It's huge in the martial
But it's only
tree.
defensive war peace acceptance.
Yep, no, you're right. It's now shit. No, honestly, I don't generally get attacked too much, right? The AI likes to attack you when they know they can win, and CK3 is a very easy game still. Like it's still the easiest Paradox game. Not even because it's got a nice UI now. It's just easy in general. So you're generally not going to get attacked, and if you are, you can just cheese the AI. Maybe attacking you into some mountains or whatever. You're not often going to be attacked in any Paradox game.
I think for most of the time where I get defensive wars is I've taken some land when somebody else is also trying to take the same land at the same time, and then
or a rebellion.
Yeah, rebellions
all the time.
Or I mean, if you're the wrong religion and you're right up next to Byzantium.
Yeah.
Looking forward to.
At the start of the game you might be attacked a bit, but it becomes very. By the time you're picking your cultural traditions, you're big enough to not be attacked.
And then we have our last one, staunch traditionalists, which a stubborn trait is more common. And then if you try to convert away from this culture, the decision cost is plus 300%.
Yeah. I quite like it, but I think the cultural fascination penalty might be a bit too much for me to take it, I would say. But
yeah, I don't think I would take that.
At the same time, you don't have a choice in a lot of these things, I guess, at the start of the game. You have to run where you start with. I guess this is the incentive for hybridizing or converting your cultures to try and... If you're meta playing it rather than like role playing it.
Even hybridizing this culture requires 100% more cultural acceptance.
Yeah.
Is also much harder to hybridize with this culture. So yeah, if you start out with this, just getting rid of this tradition is going to be a challenge.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's cool though. I like all these things. I hope there's more. I hope they keep that up.
Yeah,
it is with summer holidays, I guess. But I think this is actually low-key one of the most interesting dev diaries they've got. I love just data. I like these data dump dev diaries. Where you just like throw a bunch of images in, and it's like, ooh, you pick over them for ages.
Well, and it's less overwhelming than if we just got the expansion pack, we loaded it up, and we had to sit there and read through everyone for the first time. When we load up the game, we'll have seen these, and so we have an idea of what there already is.
Yeah. And I think, like,
nice.
You sort of replan these things. It's like, ooh, I wouldn't mind playing something like that or something like that. I mean, I'm still doggedly sticking to I want to play a Turkish campaign and do loads of hybridizations. Cool. Hybridized with Persian and then hybridized with Greek. A little bit with Greek, not much with Greek, but just enough. Maybe don't hybridize with Greek. Maybe just slap some minarets on those.
If I streamed that kind of campaign, I'd be crucified. Be absolutely crucified.
best campaign to play.
I mean, do you know where there is a lot of hybridization?
No, not in my games. It doesn't happen in my games. No. I refuse.
Oh, come on.
Renegotiate your goddamn segue.
No.
I'm giving you feedback on your segue. It's bad. I don't like it.
Well, that's fine because Stellaris has given us some feedback.
Yay. I helped.
From our feedback. So I love how they call it solicited feedback.
Yeah.
What they've done is basically copy what Imperator did, where it's got a feedback forum, or a suggestions forum. And you can upvote and downvote like the various bits of feedback or suggestions or whatever. It's very similar to that.
Yeah.
And it worked really well. Until they stopped taking suggestions and went to the dev farm down the road.
Dev farm.
Yeah. So anyway,
sure.
Put on the dev range.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a good thing to have. I hope that it is used, right? I hope it's because quite often, like in the Imperator, when we had the suggestions forum, we'd still get suggestions in the main forum all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just more effort for the moderators to move this over and give it the right tags or whatever.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's going to happen quite a bit, at least in the early days. Hopefully they get some good use out of it.
Yeah. I mean, like, and one thing I will say about these suggestion forums is, a fair amount of them are pretty good suggestions, actually. Don't get me wrong, every time there's, like, a suggestion thread on any sort of game development, like 75% of it's just going to be stupid rubbish. It's like, I want them to add a special type of casus belli that allows me to take over France if I am a Duke of... It's like, it's a load of old rubbish. Yeah. Come on.
Well, that actually reminds me that Going Medieval has a Discord, and they do have a channel there for people to give honest feedback and suggestions since it is an early access game.
Yeah.
Like things to add. It's not just... Well, they have a feedback channel, and they also have a suggestions channel. Like, what can we add to the game?
Yeah.
They had to put a post in there and say, hey, if you're going to post something, please do a search to make sure no one else has posted it.
Yeah, that's going to be
because people are saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's also some interesting suggestions. Yeah. This is a very historical game, and there was at least one I've seen in there of people going, it should have magic and wizards.
It should have guns.
Yeah, it should. When the modders get their hands on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I will say, I've been very despondent at the level of feedback and suggestions for Victoria 3. I like things like, I suggest this, and this. The first 3 are impossible. And the last thing is like, that's exactly how it worked in Victoria 2.
Yeah.
But you don't know that it's worked like that in Victoria 2 because your suggestions clearly show that you've never played the bloody game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just some of the suggestions I've seen are just awful.
Yeah. You get that a lot.
I do not at all envy the person who has to sort through that mound of garbage for the occasional absolute gem, and there have been absolute gems. There was I saw a post by I've got the post actually here, a professional naval logistician working for the US Navy, who made a hefty, and I mean hefty, post on how ships and supply should work, and it's a bloody good read even if you're taking out the suggestion part of it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, and I hope the devs have seen it and read it, but sometimes you get fucking gems like that.
Yeah.
But sorting through the mound of garbage to find these gems is a task.
Yeah.
It really is.
Here's one. They say farming... Oh, sorry, I'm still going on Going Medieval. They say farming is too easy, so they want to make more items in the game by making seeds items.
Oh god,
the game already has a problem with too many items, like storage. Until they add more like ways to store things, everything just lays on a square on the floor.
I played a RimWorld mod that added seeds, and you would run out of seeds, and it was part of a mod pack I played called Hardcore SK. The seeds were fucking awful. Oh no, don't do that to yourself. You don't want seeds.
I've been playing
especially when certain crops don't give you, like, if you have 3 crops of this certain crop and it only gives you 2 seeds back. Fuck that.
Been playing a lot of,
this one has 21 upvotes but 41 downvotes.
Yeah, no, keep it going with the downvotes. Seeds are a bad idea.
We're playing a lot of Oxford Not Included. There's seeds in that game, but it used to be the case that basically you had no use for the seeds apart from planting, and the better your farmers got, the more seeds you got from every time you did a harvest. So you'd end up with 1 billion mealwood seeds or whatever. But now at least you can get rid of them. Just feed them to your fishies. Done. But then you end up with 100 fishies, so who knows?
Banished focuses around farming. And you would have to buy the seeds once to unlock that. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
And that works.
Yeah, that was good.
I think so.
But yeah, that Magic one had 71 downvotes and 10 upvotes.
Yeah, see, I think Magic is great to add to every medieval game by modders.
I mean, I'm very torn on all these feedback-based development things, because undoubtedly there's been some great games that have been very heavily developed by feedback. Anno being a very good example. Like Anno Union was an initiative to try and get people to give feedback on the new Anno 1800 game, and Anno 1800 is one of the best Anno games ever made. So that worked really well. At the same time, there was a game that came out a few years ago called Fallen Enchantress. I don't know if either of you played that. It was made by the same one of the devs who made Fall from Heaven, which was one of my favorite Civ 4 mods. And some of the feedback was about multiplayer. And for some reason, at least back then anyway, people were so against multiplayer as a thing in video games, especially strategy games. And every time somebody was like, I wouldn't mind multiplayer, they got dogpiled by 800 people with no friends saying, I don't have friends to play multiplayer with. So
I've seen a lot of that in Vicky as well.
Yeah, it's weird.
There's a lot of people say, oh, you play multiplayer, so your entire opinion on a certain mechanic, good or bad, should be discounted, because your experience as somebody who likes multiplayer is completely different to us that like single player, so you should just be completely ignored because it's a single player. The venom.
I know. I'm sorry for having friends. I'm sorry about that.
I'm sorry for having the patience to put up with the out of syncs. But yeah.
Yeah, people are so mad about it because for some reason, well, obviously adding multiplayer takes a lot of dev time. But multiplayer's great, and it's also really good for marketing too.
The people who play a lot of multiplayer also, generally speaking, know the games a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because it's in competitive multiplayers, I mean, because to be competitive in a multiplayer, you're gonna have to know the game pretty well.
Yep. And
I think that will automatically put you in an above average kind of space for how well you know the game.
Yeah.
I
do think multiplayer's main benefit is marketing anyway. YouTubers and stuff will play multiplayer and it makes good content.
Yeah, it does.
Also,
it really does.
People who don't do YouTube who play multiplayer generally get their friends to play multiplayer, and they tend to be more social, so they recommend it to their friends and recommend it to their friends. I mean,
think how many people bought the base game of EU4 or CK2 just to play multiplayer with their friend who had purchased all of the DLCs.
Yeah,
I've done
that's
that many
significant.
times. Yeah,
significant amounts.
I God knows how many people I bought CK2 base game for.
When I was teaching my wife how to play EU4, I would load up the game in a multiplayer, and then I would quit so that she could continue playing with all the DLCs when she only owned the base game.
Yeah, I've done that with friends too.
It was great. I think a big part of the anti-multiplayer-ness stems from that really, really old, taken out of context quote from Johan. It was some update they were doing around the Art of War period, and he said something along the lines of, "I don't give a fuck about the AI in this situation." Something like the AI won't be able to understand X mechanic,
right?
And that just got taken out of context and bred just an unbelievable amount of hate for the guy.
Yeah.
And for MP communities in general. The idea that Paradox games are being balanced around multiplayer it became a thing.
Yeah. I mean, they're not. I mean, like I exclusively play multiplayer because I can't stand my own company. So I the game's not balanced around multiplayer, but it's more fun multiplayer because you're playing with friends. You know.
Yeah.
And certainly for me, I think playing
and a player is more competent and more satisfying to beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in Vicky, when I was playing as France, I was able to trash the British Navy and land on the British Isles within a few years of the game. There's no way you could do that against a player.
No.
There's no way.
No. Definitely. Like
they're just on another level of competency.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's why MP players will generally be a little bit better at the game.
Yep.
Generally.
Yeah. Well, I think
not in all cases.
Not always.
Yeah, not always. Tends to be.
But unlike Fallen Enchantress, I don't think Paradox will ever listen to those people who will say no multiplayer in strategy games. And good thing too.
Not.
Also, as an aside, Fallen Enchantress flopped. It didn't sell very well at all. So, suck it, single player zealots.
Yes, that is the takeaway that we should take from this.
Yeah. How do we get onto that? We
of
were talking about
takeaway.
Stellaris.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of takeaway, we've taken away a long time.
Oh, that's true, actually, yeah. Should we probably wrap up, I guess? Oh, yeah, that was community feedback. That's how we got into it. We wrapped up with Stellaris anyway.
Look, it's your fault. You are the host.
Yes!
Your responsibility.
True, I fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Another way I fucked up, I lost end splash screen, so you have to just
take responsibility for this.
Stare out our ugly mugs as we self-promote, which I won't do. Rhodes, what have you been up to? And where can people find you?
On Twitch, on YouTube, Enigmatic Rose 4. I'm starting some Stardew Valley on Twitch.
Oh, brilliant!
I guess I haven't played since they put out all the new stuff this past winter. I think it was winter.
What did they add? I
I
haven't played it in a long time.
They added a whole new farm map.
Yeah.
Which is on the beach, which is interesting.
It's like a big tropical island.
And then they've added the big tropical island, which I loaded in looked at it with an older, higher level character, but I'm now playing through. I'm doing some multiplayer with another friend of mine. And then I'll be checking out Old World either tonight or tomorrow. It didn't happen last week. I'm sure Lambert or any other parents understand how that goes.
Yeah. I've played it a little bit. I have some thoughts, but we'll leave that for next week.
All right. Well,
Loris,
what are you up to?
I haven't been playing that game. It's not an era I'm too interested in, sadly. Just don't like classical era stuff. I find it a bit boring. I'd like to roam to
What have you been up to instead?
Oh, what I've been up to building mostly. Yeah, got some cool stuff for my rotary thing, so I can make.
Do you have stairs?
I do have stairs. They're just like not. I've done the side of the stairs. Because I'm going upstairs and downstairs in my boots, I haven't put the nice stair bit on. You know, the top bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but everything else is done. It's just I don't want to get it all mucky. So, apart from that, just been doing that. Starting work on getting a kitchen, which will be nice. So I don't have to do this. I don't know if you can see this in the background. I've got a gas hob in my office.
It's visible.
That's where I do my cooking. So I'm getting a proper kitchen, hopefully in the next couple of months. So that'd be nice.
That's awesome.
Apart from that, a little bit of drawing. Not enough drawing, but I've been doing a little bit. That's my life.
How about you, Lambert, besides dying in the heat?
I've been playing a little bit of Victoria 2. I've been playing a new multiplayer in Empire Rome, where I'm playing as Phoenicia, and it's gone pretty well. Killed 2 players already, because needs must and all that. And I haven't been doing online old world, but I do want to do some. So as in like streaming some old worlds. I've just been playing it offline. My streaming hours have been severely cut down by the fact that my kid is no longer at daycare for the summer. So yeah. Apparently, according to Snowlet, I'm being partitioned in the MP. A coalition is being built against me. I don't know how true that is, but maybe we'll go and wreck the Hellenic League.
Teams up against the streamer, so it's probably true.
Yeah, we'll see though. But yeah, been relatively quiet on my channel recently. So hopefully, as soon as the heat goes away, my son goes back to daycare, everything will pick up again.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. And that's it for this week, I guess. So I guess catch us next week. We'll be talking more about. I don't know. There's not many Dev Diaries about.
I think
that'll be a perfect time to talk about Old World.
Yeah. Old World. We'll catch up with ModCon too. I think we'll remember to put them
Maybe we'll see if we can get some guests on the channel.
Definitely.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Sure. Maybe one Proud Bavarian. Maybe we can get him.
Yes, you can talk about ModCon.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right, cool. Well, have a lovely evening, everyone, and take care.
Bye.
Doodles.
Bye.